Hello, my name is and I am the moderator for today's public forum debate. Today's public forum debate is just should abolish the polish that every class must be taught in English. Team A will be supporting the resolution. Speaker 1 for Team A is Speaker 2 for Team A is Team B will be opposing the resolution. Speaker 1 for Team B is Speaker 2 for Team B is First, there will be a constructive speech. It will be the Team A speaker will be first in 4 minutes.
What's the full name of GIST? It's Gwangju Institute of Science and Technology. In what country is Gwangju located? It's in South Korea. What do Koreans speak? It's Korean. Isn't it ironic that Koreans have to communicate in English in order to learn science? Hello, I'm the first speaker of the pro team answer that school policy about teaching in English during major classes should be banned. First, let me talk about the problems we face due to this policy. Comparing to liberal arts, major is difficult and requires much more comprehension. Moreover, the professors in major give weekly tasks, homework, and team projects, which is directly related to grading. Thus, if students can't understand what the university professor is saying, then those people will spend more time trying to understand the content after class. If this starts to stack up, then they will be up all night trying to finish their homework. Mainly due to English, the quality of the student's life gets different. The main purpose of having class is to make the students understand the concepts and knowledge of the subject. It is not to find out who has a better hearing of English. I agree that English is mandatory towards doing professional tasks. However, this doesn't mean that English must be a factor of evaluation. Right now, due to this policy, the major classes and subject of math and science has to write in English during midterm and final exams. Thus, these test purposes are to evaluate if the students understood the knowledge of what the professors taught during class. Then, what about the students who understands the knowledge well but can't express well in English? On 2019, in the field of chemistry, a professor from Japan won the Nobel Prize, that is the 25th Nobel Prize laureate from Japan. In Japan's college education, international students have to certify Japanese test named JOPT N1, which contains grammar, 2,000 characters, and even 10,000 words. Moreover, almost all of the Japanese universities use Japanese in their class communication and even write journals and write posters during conferences on Japanese. In addition, the best college of engineering in Europe is Swiss Federal Institute of Technology Zurich, which is ETS Zurich. And in order to get accepted, you have to pass the GATE Certificate C1, DAF, and DSH 3 tests, which has the difficulty same of ordinary German high school students. Like this, top-tier universities require students to have great usage of the country's first language and even teach in their own language. The students inside then have a great structure and concept of what they're learning and create great topics to put in their journals. Journals is a great way to share your ability towards your professional field. Many professors just read the title and abstract and wonder if the journal is good or bad. What I'm saying this is that choosing an outstanding topic is better than a good topic with great expressions. Realize that you're the only one to choose your topic, but getting feedback towards English expressions is much more easier. Thank you.
Next, there will be a constructive speech from Team B, Speaker 1.
Hello, I'm the Speaker 1 for Team B. I think all of the science subjects in GIS need to be run basically in English. GIS has a policy of teaching all science subjects in English in order to grow global scientists and talented students. Firstly, I will I will present some reasons why English is so important for GS students. GS is one of the top colleges where excellent students gather. One of the most basic things in the science field is English. English is the common language of the world, especially in the science field. If we think about our future as a scientist, we need a kind of education that enables us to be familiar with English. We cannot repeat bigger part in the international conference, right? One of the statistics showed that 1.5 billion people around the world are English speakers, and they are all our potential audiences. That is why we should fluent in English. Also, in order to publish a globally recognized paper, we have to publish it in English. English is not only essential for publishing work. Learning English will also help us in terms of doing our own academic learning. To be successful globally in the science and engineering, we need to be able to meet and communicate with various scientists around the world and learn from them. According to statistics, 98% of the scientific research papers published online are in English. This means that we cannot do nothing without learning English in the science field. Until now, I have talked about the importance of English in science and engineering. What I want to say is that teaching science subject in English is the most effective way to learn English for GS students. According to one research, the more frequently we are exposed to a language, the better our language skills will improve. Also, for GS students, we can expect the students to improve their English skills by being exposed more to the English environment through English class. There may be difficulty in following the class because of English at first, but as we keep taking class, our English level finally will be improved to have less difficulty. Maybe we can catch both English and scientific knowledge. We can practice and prepare scientific English writing, speaking, debates, and every other scientific activities in this English class. I think it is most effective way to catch everything. However, without the policy, which Korean professor is going to teach in English? Teaching in Korean is easy, but we need English class. This is why we need the school policy of teaching science in English. Without the policy, we will hardly have chances to learn science in English. You want to be a great scientist? Then take English class. And we will be much more globally talented students. Thank you.
There will be a first crossfire. Teammate speaker 1 will ask the first question, and both speakers will be proceed in standing.
Okay, so you said that more frequently we are exposed to a language, the better our language skills will improve. So how about increasing the number of course requirements in teaching English writing and English reading?
Okay. However, we can only take limited number of credit, right? So we cannot take enough of English lectures, as you said. Also, if we take more English lectures, we inevitably take less class of other important class. So I think that causes another problem. And I'll ask you a question. You mentioned that almost all of the Japanese university uses Japanese in their class. But I think that if you are willing to support your arguments, you need present cases for science and technology colleges in Japan. not just cases for all of the Japanese universities.
So I found research about what you're mentioning, and Japanese electronic companies like Sony, Panasonic, and Sharp writes 68% of their journals in Japanese. Moreover, Japan has a great field of biomedical science, and in their national conference called ICMBE, they use Japanese on their posters and do lectures on Japanese. So I think, okay, so that will support my reason of the topic. And you notice that to be successful globally in science and engineering, you need to be able to meet and communicate with various scientists around the world. How much opportunities does this give to the college students to go abroad?
I think they give many opportunities,
How long?
or 2 months or 3 months.
Then how long is the just student's life on university?
On other universities?
No. How
4 years.
how many? Yes, it's 4 years.
Yeah.
And you only go 2 months. Do we really have to do English?
Yeah. Because we will not stop studying after graduate.
But there are people. There's also people.
There will be a rebuttal speech. Team A speaker 2 will be first.
Hello, I'm speaker 2 of Team A. Team speaker Mr. said that one of the most basic things in today's science field is English. We should not forget intrinsic things that the most basic things in science field is always science, including research. According to the Yonsei University survey, both professors and students feel burdened with English lectures. The satisfaction level is not greatly improved, even decreased, despite the amount of effort and lots of effort and time for English lecture. In English lecture, even if something is unclear or not understood, students hesitate to ask questions then like in group discussion, people get frustrated because they can't express their opinions freely through English. It is only after the class that students can freely exchange their opinions. At this time, the language of discussion is always Korean. Mr. Son said that English lecture can catch 2 rabbits with scientific knowledge and English proficiency. But we argue that we might miss these 2 rabbits through English lecture. Park Seung-woo, a professor of aerospace engineering of KAIST College, said that a lecture has a necessity for good communication between professors and students. If a lecture is taught in English that is difficult for most students to understand, students will not be able to actively focus on the lecture and their motivation for the subject can be broken. Professor Park takes the dynamic courses as an example. Even though students need knowledge of basic applied mathematics, when students don't understand the lecture well, they can blame their English skills, or they think they can understand the subject well if their English skills are good. And it can lead to decreased interest or confidence about the subject. Mr. Son said that 1.5 billion around the world are English speakers, so we should learn English. And then enforcing to take an English lecture to people who have their own language in the university, where the best intelligence is gathered, can be an act of making give up their identity under the name of internationalization. You may end up with the worst situation where all major books and scientific terms change to English. He said that also taking English classes for a long time will improve English skill, However, such opinions are nothing but naive expectations that they did not consider the reality of Korea-centered language community. It should also be noted that learning English and speaking English are on different levels. A person who learns a foreign language can express as much as he or she has learned. If you don't know the words government, lawmaker, policy, it's hard to talk about the politics in English. The results of an English class can be a vicious cycle of misunderstanding and waste of time, rather than improving your English or broadening your knowledge. Anyone can agree that in order to develop an academic debate, English proficiency must be guaranteed and at an appropriate level. It is very unlikely that teaching English will improve English proficiency to a level of appropriate for a college class. If you know that English
There will be a rebuttal speech from Hindi Speaker 2.
Hello, I'm Speaker 2 for the opposing team. First, let's talk about the Nobel Prize that Mr. talked about. Japan has many Nobel Prize winners, but Japan is the country that receives the most Nobel Prizes in Asia. If you look at the Nobel Prize winners in science region by country, the first place is USA and UK, and the third is Germany. If you look at the Germany has an international course program. This course was built in 1998 and has grown steadily to date, leading to the internationalization of German education. This educational system in Germany is defined by regulations, and there are over 1,000 departments nationwide. In which department is this program most active? The field of science and engineering. For this course, students are assessed for English test and not for German test, which was mentioned by Mr. Park. Now let's talk about the Japan. Since 2009, Japan has announced an internationalization project called Global G30 to attract international students and strengthen their global competitiveness. This program also evaluates English proficiency without a Japanese test, and that the classes are all taught in English. And surprisingly, many of the programs are departments of science and engineering, same as Germany. In the recently announced 2019 Asia Pacific University rankings by the UK's Global University Rating Agency, Korean universities have not been ranked in the top 10. And here are just 2 of the top 100 universities in the rankings last year. The causes are diverse and complex, but it is the capacity of internationalization that has always caught the Korean universities in their evaluation indicators. The difference between Singapore, Hong Kong, China universities and Korean universities is clearly marked by the globalization. Japanese universities such as University of Tokyo are also interpreted as being undervalued due to their low internationalization capabilities. And as I mentioned already, Japan is already hosting programs like the G30 at the government level to achieve university internationalization. In the words of Bang In-ter, the planning director of UNIST, we can compare Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and China University of Science and Technology. Although the one in Hong Kong is the latecomer who benchmarked the prestigious the one in China, it is now ahead of China's expectation in the evaluation of universities. The Hong Kong one has 100% English lessons, while the China has decided to stick to Chinese classes. Currently, university education around the world is shifting to discussion-based instruction rather than knowledge transfer, and the global collaboration is growing too. In particular, the trend of global collaboration research is more prominent in the science and technology field. Therefore, English is an indispensable factor both in our empowerment and the innovation of Korean university education. The first step to internationalizing a university will be to get rid of the fear and hesitation of English, even though students first write in broken English. Thank you.
There will be a second crossfire. teammate speaker 2 will ask the first question.
You said that university education around the world is shifting to discussion-based instruction rather than knowledge transfer. I think that discussion is meaningful based on deep comprehension of the subject and application. But because of English lecture, lots of people give up their classes of the subject or give up their understanding. So then how can you explain that English lecture is helpful to discussion-based instruction?
I agree that English makes students to hesitate to speak and have discussion with others, but I think it's we should endure this discomfort to improve our English, because the purpose of English discussion is very good, but in this case the problem is not the English itself, it's our hesitation and our fear to speak English. So yes, we should do English discussion, I think. And you said that the worst case of having English in Korea is to have English books and English terms in Korean universities. So I think that studying English book and knowing terms in English is very important factor in writing our papers. So without this, how can we write our papers or
In
do
Japan,
research?
I think the first stage of writing paper is research. Then in Japan, they didn't teach English in science lecture. They have lots of Nobel Prize in science field, as you know that. So then I think the learning English for the scientific terms is the next stage after we understand the subject well.
Okay. And
Here we will be asking my speech. Or they need a 2 minutes preparation.
Yes.
There will be a summary speech from Team A speaker 1.
This week, Tuesday, what told me was very shocking. He told me that as these students stay in Gwangju for a long time, their English ability decreases. Wow. The school's policy of doing class in English was meant for these students to increase both their academic and regular English, enduring students to lessen their understanding of the knowledge. However, even the benefits of this policy is ineffective, thus stating that Mr. statement about this policy can catch 2 rabbits is too optimistic and is clearly wrong. Moreover, mentioning the example brought about the China University of Science and Technology, this university isn't highly traditional or well known to foreign students than in Hong Kong. In addition, while Hong Kong University is the highest in Hong Kong, as in the 25th in the QS university rankings, Tsinghua University is mainly known for science and technology and is higher as in the 16th. So she was cherry picking the samples, and her statement of Hong Kong is now ahead of China's evaluation of university isn't right. So this is why we need to ban this policy of banning English classes. On this debate, we talk about problems we face with this policy and brought some examples of top-ranking universities in Japan and Switzerland using their own language in class. Classes in English is a very unfair policy for students who want to get in depth during class. Evaluation of the students should not be who is better at multitasking, translating English, and understanding the knowledge at the same time.
Thank you.
Next, there will be a summary speech from Team B Speaker 1.
Okay, let me summarize the main points of our arguments. As I said, English is the common language of the world, and 1.5 billion people around the world are English speakers, and they are all our potential audiences. Also, 98% of the online research paper is published in English. For us to become a great scientist or engineer, we need to read lots of these English papers. Also, we have to communicate with other great scientists to be globally powerful. And of course, most of them are English speakers. This is why English is really, really important for us. And we think taking all science classes in English is most effective way to learn English for these students. Even if it is forceful or some students feel difficult to learn, we have to not ignore what we have to do, but we have to do breakthrough and be comfortable with scientific English. Without the policy, only very few lectures will be taught in English, and this is why we need the policy. Our arguments are supported by examples of other countries, Germany, Japan, and Hong Kong. All of these examples says that English is becoming more and more important in science field, and other advanced countries are trying hard to be globalized, emphasizing English education. Okay, thus, we need to keep the policy of teaching all science subjects in English. We should remember the proverb, the roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. We can do it. Thank you.
There will be a grand crossfire. Team A Speaker 1 will ask the first question.
Okay, so you mentioned about the Hong Kong and compared it to China science and technology. So Hong Kong has an official language of English, and China doesn't have it. So isn't it nonsense to comparing Hong Kong Institute of Science and Technology with China Science and Technology?
But Hong Kong uses the English and Chinese together. So but it is the citation of the playing director of UNIST in his interview. So it's his opinion in his view. So I think it is reliable because he is playing director of UNIST. You said that I am doing cherry picking, but you guys are saying Japan again and again. But Japan is only 5th grade on the Nobel Prize winners in science region, and they got only 22, while USA in the top got 263. Yeah, so I'm saying I think you guys are doing cherry picking too.
So first, this is too cocaine. So it's a logical fallacy of questioning the same point. And about Japan, so what Japan is why we're saying Japan a lot is because Japan is a really significant country because their technology was started on the 50s, right? But the United States or United Kingdom were just started their technology way more earlier. So I think it's not fair to compare with like the biggest traditional technological country of like United States and United Kingdom with Japan. So next question.
I want to ask to speaker two. You said that since 2009, Japan executed the global G30 project and introduced English lecture for them. Then how many Nobel Prize winners in science field were selected for the G30 project? That's first question. And I know that the Nobel Prize in count of Nobel Prize in the country counts from the people who are born in that country.
Yeah.
But the G30 project is for
There will be a final focus. Both teams need to review.
No.
Okay. Team A, speaker 2 will proceed final focus.
Our team strongly argued that GS college should abolish the policy of teaching in English during major classes should be banned. Japan, which country has produced more than 20 Nobel laureates in science and engineering, does not teach English in university, and they do not emphasize the importance of English. But how many people have won the Nobel Prize of Science field in Korea? No one. Then we can conclude that English is not the most important thing in scientific research, and we can achieve good results in science without being good at English. If you know that English instruction is the problem for students to understand, but you keep taking English lecture with the conscience to stick to the unilateral school policy, it is too miserable for lectures. The development of university is possible in new and creative ideas and imaginations and systems that guarantee and increase them. However, lots of students say that English lectures suppress their deep thinking about science, and even some students have given up on understanding science because of English classes. First in classes in English is not different from when Korean people were first to write Japanese in Japanese colonial times. The roots of the cultivation will be deepened. Regardless of these problems, enforcing classes to do in English is just a policy that scratches the surface. So the policy of doing English lecture in science classes in GIS should be banned. Thank you.
Next, there will be a final focus on TV speaker 2.
Do you really want to abolish English classes? Really? Are you going to force foreign students in our school now to take their major classes in Korean? Will foreign students no longer be able to come to GIST? Why do we think English is emphasized, especially in education and research? Everyone in the world needs to be able to get education equally. Education is for everyone. As research advances, the scale of research is growing. Studying in one country is like being a big frog in a small pond. These are the reasons why internationalization in GIST is required for better education and research. There may be difficulties in studying using English, but we shouldn't be stuck in the pain we are experiencing for a year or two. English classes are essential for us to communicate and study in the global category and for the development of GIST education in the right direction. So don't forget, no pain, no gain.